Good morning, boys and girls. I'm so excited to tell you that we are going to start our reading workshop this week about fiction stories that are folk tales and fairy tales. Now, fairy tales and folk tales, they're fiction stories, and these are fiction stories that could usually include magic, imaginary creatures, talking animals, or talking objects. And magic usually plays like a key role, and it's really important to what happens in the stories. And I want you to think about, as we are reading these stories that are folk tales and that are fairy tales, we're going to start to think about the characters in these stories, and how they would feel and how you would feel if you were to experience what these creatures were experiencing in the stories that we're going to read. But I wanted to let you know that in fairy tales and in folk tales, there's usually spells and curses. Usually there's talking animals, and most of the time, the talking animals or different creatures can come back to life with magic. And there's usually some wishes that could be granted in the stories as well. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started on today's lesson. And before we start, I just want to introduce to you what we're going to be working on as our standard is being able to recount stories, which is kind of being able to tell what happens in the stories, including fables and folk tales from different cultures and determine their central message, lesson, or moral. So that means different cultures is different places around the world. Sometimes in different places, a story can be told in different ways. And the central message. So what was really important in that story? What did the character learn in the story? That's what the central message means, or the lesson. And fairy tales and folk tales we're going to be studying and learn all about the different types of fairy tales and folk tales all through this reading unit. But this is going to be what we're going to be really trying to do, is to tell all the parts and the central message, what the character learned in a fairy tale or a folk tale. All right, I want you to think about Toy Story 3. If you haven't seen this movie, it's okay, but I wanted to kind of talk to you a little bit about it and think about, well, I was watching television the other day, and Toy Story 3 was on, and it was neat to see the characters come to life, the way they were moving and the way that they were talking. So this is a fairy tale, it's fiction, it's not real. The toys come to life and they start to talk. And the movie is based on how these characters experience things and what happens to them. And today I wanted to teach you that good readers will better understand a story and the characters by making connections between what they see in a TV, a movie, play, readers' theater, books, read-alouds in real life. And you can make a connection to all that by what you read. So readers' theater is where you get together and you all take turns reading a different part like a play. And then we have books. And this helps you connect a little bit better and understand the characters when you read books or you participate in plays or you watch TV or movies that help you understand this a little bit better. So I would love to be an actor in one of these movies, right? So Andy, he's going to college and he's leaving his toys. And then Mr. Potato Head says, Andy threw us away. Well, Barbie is so upset that she starts crying. And Woody says, you think daycare is any better? It's a horrible place for washed up toys. Wow, I kind of feel like I'm really in this story. It's kind of giving us what's happening. Barbie, she's upset. Mr. Potato Head is upset. He's like, Andy just threw us away. And Woody's like, well, it's better than going to daycare. So you can kind of already get a feeling of what these characters feel like by what's happening and by what they're saying to each other in the story. Now I want you to kind of think about it a little bit, even though we're not together. This is what happens when the toys go to the daycare. So young toddlers play with the toys aggressively by hitting, kicking, and licking the toys. So think about how these toys feel. Buzz Lightyear's visor, it gets licked. The other toys explain to Woody how awful toys are treated at the daycare. How would you feel if you were Woody and if you knew your friends were being treated like this? So you're Woody, you're not at the daycare, but all your other friends are. And what would you do and how would you feel if your friends were being treated like this? So just stop for a minute and think about it. Okay. I know that I would feel like, oh my gosh, I have to go help my friends. It's not okay for them to be treated like this. So I want you to think about today and every day when you read fiction, put yourself in the character's shoes, and I want you to think, I feel like I am in the story, don't you? So think about how you would feel if what was happening to the character was actually happening to you, and what you would do and what you would say or what you would think. All right, boys and girls, I want you to practice this week reading fairy tales, folk tales, fables on Epic and Raz Kids. And I want you to think about all these different elements of fairy tales and folk tales and fables. And today I really want you to practice in one of these independent books on your own and just think about as you're reading, how would you feel if you were to put yourself in the character's shoes? All right, boys and girls, have a great day.